In The Boys Season 5, Episode 8 finale, Blood and Bone, the world doesn't just witness the final collapse of Homelander's reign, it watches the entire idea of heroes and monsters fall apart at the same time. Homelander finally drops the mask and becomes something more honest and far more terrifying. Billy Butcher finally reaches the end of his long obsession, but what he finds there is not peace, only emptiness and destruction. Because this isn't a story about good defeating evil. It's a story about what happens when revenge actually succeeds, and there's nothing left to fix after it. By the time the White House falls into chaos and the final battle ends in silence, the world is left shattered, unstable, and completely exposed. But the bigger question isn't just what happened to Homelander and Butcher, it's what comes next. What happens to the remaining Supes scattered across the world? Can Vought even survive without its god? And the Soldier Boy still out there somewhere, frozen in time but not forgotten. Is this truly the end of the Supe era, or just the beginning of an even darker one waiting to rise from the ashes? Stay with us as we break down The Boys Season 5, Episode 8 finale, Blood and Bone, from start to finish, because this isn't just the end of Homelander's reign, it's the brutal collapse of everything the series has built towards since day one. The Boys Season 5, Episode 8 finale, Blood and Bone, delivers one of the darkest and most emotionally devastating endings in the entire series, bringing the story of Homelander and Billy Butcher to a brutal and unforgettable conclusion. The episode opens in silence with Frenchie's funeral, immediately setting a tone of grief rather than victory. Hughie reads Frenchie's final will, revealing the emotional weight of their found family and reminding everyone that even in a world filled with supes and violence, loss remains personal and deeply human. This opening moment quietly establishes the central theme of the finale. Nobody truly escapes the damage they've suffered. Meanwhile, Ryan lives in isolation, trying to stay away from Homelander's influence, but Homelander eventually finds him. Instead of aggression, Homelander arrives with desperation. He offers power, comfort, and belonging, but what he is really seeking is validation. Ryan, however, rejects him completely, telling him that all his power has not made him less miserable. This rejection becomes the emotional breaking point for Homelander, shattering the illusion he has built around himself for years. As the Easter broadcast begins, Homelander attempts to present himself as a divine figure, speaking as if he is humanity's savior. But as the speech continues, his message slowly transforms from inspiration into control, and finally into open threat. For the first time, Homelander fully drops the mask and reveals what he truly wants. Not love or admiration, but obedience. The broadcast also highlights the terrifying surveillance system around him, as Vought monitors public reactions in real time, reinforcing the show's deeper commentary on fear, control, and authoritarian power. At the same time, the boys prepare for their final mission alongside Annie, Hughie, Butcher, Mother's Milk, Kimiko, and Gen V survivors Marie, Jordan, and Emma. Their plan is to infiltrate the White House through underground tunnels and stop Homelander before the broadcast escalates further. However, even within the group, tensions and emotional fractures are visible, showing that this is not a united heroic team, but a group of broken individuals trying to survive one final mission. Sister Sage's storyline reaches a quiet but important conclusion, as she realizes that even intelligence has limits in a world completely dominated by chaos and power. For the first time, she understands that Homelander can no longer be controlled or predicted, leading her to step away entirely, choosing survival over influence. Kimiko's arc becomes one of the emotional centerpieces of the finale. After Frenchie's death, she struggles to connect with her powers, believing they are fueled by rage. Sister Sage attempts to push her back into violence, but instead Kimiko reaches a breaking point. The truth is revealed. Her strength was never just anger, but emotional connection. During the final battle, Frenchie's vision appears to her, reminding her that love, not rage, was always the source of her power. This moment allows her to fully regain control and become a decisive force in the final confrontation. The deep storyline reaches its final tragic conclusion as well, highlighting his lifelong desperation for approval and acceptance. Despite everything he does to gain respect, he is ultimately discarded, reinforcing the series' ongoing theme that blind loyalty to power never guarantees survival or meaning. As the boys breach the White House, the final confrontation begins. Homelander continues his broadcast from the Oval Office, but his control is slipping. His words become increasingly unstable, revealing fear beneath his godlike image. The arrival of Butcher marks the beginning of the end. Their final battle is not framed as heroic or cinematic in a traditional sense. Instead, it feels exhausted, personal, and inevitable. Two men defined by violence, trauma, and obsession finally face each other not as symbols, but as broken human beings. In the end, Butcher kills Homelander with a crowbar on live television, stripping away any remaining illusion of divinity and reducing the most powerful Supe in the world to something painfully human. However, the true shock of the finale comes after Homelander's death. Butcher does not find peace or redemption. Instead, he becomes convinced that another Homelander will eventually rise, leading him to prepare the release of an airborne Supe virus designed to eliminate all Supes permanently. This moment reveals Butcher's complete transformation into the very ideology he once fought against, one that sees entire groups as irredeemable. Hughie ultimately becomes the one who stops Butcher, confronting him emotionally rather than physically. By reminding Butcher of Lenny and the life he lost before his obsession consumed him, Hughie breaks through the cycle of violence long enough to stop global catastrophe. In his final moments, Butcher shows brief clarity and remorse before dying, marking the end of his long descent into vengeance. In the aftermath, the world slowly attempts to rebuild. Ryan isolates himself, Kimiko finds peace in France, and Annie and Hughie continue their work while trying to maintain a sense of normal life. Mother's Milk rebuilds his family life, and the remaining characters each move forward in different directions, though none are fully healed from what they've experienced. The final emotional beat comes when Hughie and Annie name their daughter Robin, referencing Hughie's first major loss in Season 1. This moment completes the emotional circle of the entire series, transforming a symbol of tragedy into one of hope and continuation. The finale ultimately makes one thing clear. The Boys was never just about superheroes. It was about trauma, power, revenge, and whether broken people can ever truly escape becoming what hurt them. And even after Homelander falls, the real question remains. Did the world actually get better? Or did the cycle of monsters just reset in a quieter form? But even after everything that happens in Blood and Bone, the ending of The Boys doesn't feel like true peace. It feels like a pause before something worse. Homelander is gone. Billy Butcher is gone. The White House has fallen. And the world is left fractured, unstable, and trying to rebuild itself from the wreckage. But underneath all of that, one truth still remains. The system that created these monsters is still alive. And that's where Soldier Boy comes back into focus. Unlike Homelander, Soldier Boy was never truly killed. He wasn't defeated in a final, permanent way. He was contained, locked away after the events of his last rampage, left in a suspended state by forces that no longer fully control him. That means he is still out there, waiting. And now, with Homelander dead and Vought weakened, the balance that kept him locked away is collapsing. No one is strong enough or organized enough to guarantee he stays buried forever. If Soldier Boy is ever released again, he won't return into a world ruled by Homelander. He'll return into a power vacuum, and that makes him even more dangerous.